Hi, everybody. Good morning. It is November 9th, and I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but for me, last night's full moon event was amazing. There were some definite technical difficulties. I started the Zoom meeting, and one other member joined me, and then nothing. And I thought, okay, people must have got busy or things came up, no big deal. It's just going to be a really intimate session for us, just the two of us. And then I don't know, I was probably about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes into the event when I started getting messages from people asking if I was okay. When I realized that the link, for some reason, the link wasn't working, and I still don't understand it because me and the other person got in just fine, and then nobody else could get in. So I had to close that one down, start up a new event and then share the link so that people could join. And I know that a few people missed out on it. So I do apologize for that. I still have no idea what happened. And even now, I've been trying since last night to share the event to share the event on Facebook, and it is just so slow, like ticky. Good morning. Hi, love. I need the one book. I left it on the counter. The one oracle card, or the tarot card, actually. Good morning. How are you doing? Last night was a lot of fun. Like I said, aside from the technical issues that seem to be happening with it, and I still am having an issue with sharing the actual video, which is a shame. But I'll keep working on it, because if I'm anything, it's persistent. I was going to say perseverance, but I have lots of perseverance. I think anyone who, embarks on a healing journey has to have a good amount of that perseverance in their bones. So it's an interesting reading. It was a lot of fun. Thank you. I'm so happy that it was a lot of fun. I'm like, which one is this guy? He's in here. Perfect. Okay, so I'll do the general reading, and then we'll definitely have time for some individual card pulls. Just remember, if you're asking for a card pull, just to include your name so that I know who's asking for it, because with StreamYard, unless you've allowed them permission, that you've given them permission to share your username from Facebook, which you could have done if you've taken a class before. I know some people, their names come up and it's just fine. But for some, if you've never, done a webinar with somebody that's used StreamYard before to give them access, you'd have to still do that. And one of these days, I will grab the information on how to do that. I'm pretty sure that it's just streamyard.com/Facebook to give permissions, but I will look into it, like I said, and I'll do that. I'm going to put it on my list of after this session. Hopefully my internet doesn't continue being so slow. So the cards that I pulled today, some strong messages here. This one here, every time I pull it, I'm like, yeesh, somebody's got to, and for me, I've had to look at it before too. So again, it's the Not For You card, number 6. And you can see, so the way that the picture works, so that is like like God or spirit, right? And it's holding up the chess table, and that fortune cookie, it has a little tag in it that says, not for you. Nope, is exactly what it says. Nope, with 2 exclamation marks. So the message, good morning, Sarah. How are you? So the message, a clear knowing that something is being denied you. Rejection is God's protection. So the oracle's message, there are times when it appears that no matter how deeply you desire something, no matter how hard you work at something, the result you seek always seems to elude you. It's as if you don't really get to be in the game, and you feel as you're just watching from the sidelines. Hi, Deanna. The appearance of this card indicates that you are not going to attain what you want right now, that indeed your dreams for this exact thing will not be fulfilled. This is a time to radically accept that not everything is available to you when you want it. Take heart, for there are benevolent forces who desire the best for you and have a much clearer idea of what is for your highest good. Rejection is God's protection. Something much better that will make you truly happy is on its way. Trust this. Relationship message. Some relationships carry an innate seed of failure in them that is obvious from the beginning, but the red flags escape your observation or you refuse to acknowledge them. There's lots of times when we get knocks on our door that this is a flag and we're like, is it? Because we want what we are hoping for more than we're willing to admit that this might not be what we're actually looking for. So sometimes it can be a little bit of a hard truth. Rejection is so when a relationship is not meant to be, it is not possible to make it be. And we try that all the time. I mean, I tried it for several years with my last partner. We were together for 8 years in total. And I think the flag came up probably like the big flag a year and a half in. Right. So I gave 6.5 years further in that relationship trying to make it work. Right. Some of us are very stubborn and we need significant pushes before we say, okay, this is not for me. So rejection is a sign that you're being protected by the divine. If you are the one who must reject another, remember that you do so for both your sakes. For every pot, there is a lid. This one may not be the best fit. It's back to that concept that I was talking about how one's a circle and the other's an octagon, and we fit fairly close, but really you need your circle so that it fits very, very much the right way, as opposed to somebody who's an octagon that can fit inside a circle, but there's all these spaces that are missing that aren't just quite right, or, they've kind of shoved themselves in there and there's little pinchy spots, right? We give up stuff and we embellish and we just do all these things to try to make it work because inherently we're afraid of being alone a lot of the time. Two, we think that what we have is is what we deserve, or it's the best that we're going to get. We like to put on our rose-colored glasses and look at things in, these shaded ways to keep what we want, which is just that connection, right? That love that we're desiring. The prosperity message: you can strategize and project and systemize and invest all your time and energy, but sometimes your best laid plans seem to go awry in spite of it all. Keep in mind that no effort is wasted. Fail fast and learn from defeat, then keep going. You will eventually succeed, although perhaps not at this game, not at this time. Know when to fold your cards. So it could be that it's not a hard not for you. It could be just not for you right now. It's almost like the rejection is coming up and saying, not today. Right. But it could be not at all in the form that it's in. So let's say for me, if the company that I was looking at was a company that combines what I do now, doing the oracle readings, but also in combination with trauma and mental health, maybe, it's not that form. Maybe the oracle stuff's okay, or the trauma stuff's okay, but together they just don't really mesh, right? That's what the card could be signifying for me, is that the not for now is just not in this form. And I'm like just about to shuffle the cards. And I'm like, wait a second. I should finish the reading before I get into shuffling again. Good morning. I hope you are all well. I really enjoyed ourselves last night. And I think from, because of the issue, and I mean, even on here, I have a little exclamation mark. I'm not sure why. Oh, just telling me my OneDrive's almost full. Yeah, I have no idea. This thing is like so slow trying to upload it, but it's like an issue with Facebook and Zoom, speaking to each other. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to post that video from the videos, because there's 2 of them from last night. But I'll post all the other supporting documents and content that I did for it, including how it shows up for each of the signs, because I didn't actually get that posted before the event. So I'll do that at the very least, and I'll post all the oracle cards that I drew and in last night's stuff. But I don't know about those videos, how long it's going to take. I might just restart the whole entire system and go from the beginning. So the second card that I pulled is number 48, Sky Dancers, Surrender, Liberation from Attachment. So combined with not for you, surrender, that liberation from attachment. So let's see how this works together. When a sky dancer appears, she is inviting you to welcome the deepest power of the feminine into your life. So the feminine is the active receptivity, right? It's not just allowing things to happen to you, but it is an active ability to receive. So you have already overanalyzed your situation to exhaustion. Now is the time to invite the sacred feminine, the wisdom within your heart, no matter your gender, to guide you to success. If you have become earthbound, plotting and planning and praying for change, cease and desist. Break the habit of being yourself, of repeating the same behavior and hoping for a different outcome. That's insanity. Just that's what they say in that statement, right? That doing the same thing over and over again but expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. I it Hi, good morning, Hammerpreet. I was like, I saw it and I was gonna say hi and I started stumbling. So break the habit of being yourself. Stop trying to figure it all out and stop overthinking it. Surrender. The sky dancers are heralding the arrival of a new relationship with yourself in your work or in your love life. Do not assume that this person or opportunity will rescue you. The only way to liberation is to kiss the ground goodbye and take flight, to rise above the fray and the drama of the struggling, arguing mind. Dance in the sky and view the madness below. By simply witnessing the actors and the human comedy unfolding on the ground, you are transforming it. As you observe the drama, you unleash the power of the sacred feminine that allows for resolution. The sky dancer knows the maps of heaven and the way to the holiest and most sacred spaces on earth. They come to help you with your current life and, even more importantly, guide you to the realization of your own divinity. So, definitely an element of surrender and pulling back. It's a beautiful card, though. Just beautiful. All right, let's see what the tarot card is to throw in the mix. Because, well, I already know what I pulled. The Knight of Cups, sorry. So cups is emotions. So a classic romantic, a passionate soul, artistic tendencies, creativity, wearing your heart on your sleeve, seeking connection, breaking the habit of being yourself. Okay, I can definitely do that before I get into reading this card too in depth. So when we get up in the morning, we pretty much yesterday predicts the day that we're going to have today, right? Most of the times we get up in the morning and we follow the exact same patterns throughout our day. I'll get up in the morning and the first thing that I do is I will grab, say, my phone. Right. And I grab my phone. I listen to frequency music while I'm sleeping. So I grab my phone and I shut off my frequency music. I get up, I go to the bathroom. I go from the bathroom to the kitchen. I make myself a cup of mushroom coffee. I go and I do my journaling in the morning. I meditate, then I go for a walk. Right. There's a cycle of actions. And there's also a way that I approach things that stays very much the same day after day after day. So that's my habit of being myself, is following through with these normal patterns of life. I see things the same way. I respond the same way. I go through everything in the same, even when you brush your teeth, you probably put toothbrush on your toothpaste, you put your toothpaste on your toothbrush. And when you put it in, you start brushing in the top right. If you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're probably brushing in the top left side of your mouth, and then you go through. It's habitual, the order that you do things in your life. So until you start doing things differently. So if I wake up in the morning and the first thing in the morning is like, oh my God, I got all this stuff to do. Like I'm in a negative mindset. And then I get up and I'm going through my day like grumbling or complaining or, in that state of negativity. I turn on the news and I get filled up with more negativity. And, I go on social media and my feed's filled with negativity. And then I go out into the world and, I get, somebody driving a certain way. I'm like, oh, look at them, right? That's a habit of being me that I need to look at changing, right? So how could I change that? Well, maybe the bedtime routine, if I change that to be a healthier bedtime routine, I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to be in a better mindset. My subconscious is going to be in a positive space throughout the night. And I wake up in the morning, and instead of waking up in the morning, I wake up in the morning going, good morning. I love you. What a wonderful day. It's beautiful out. I love this life that I have, and I have control over it. So that's kind of the breaking the habit of being yourself is looking at how you're actually navigating through your day, whether it's your mind, your mental health space, whether it's the course of actions that you're doing through your day. doing things that are healthier. So rather than jumping onto, social media right away, maybe doing a meditation in the morning, or going and doing something physical, getting out and going for a walk and being with nature instead of, scrolling on a feed on Facebook, or reading a book instead of watching TV. All of those things are going to provide a better, healthier lifestyle for you. And that's breaking that habit of being yourself. I hope that was a good explanation for it, or that brought some clarity. So this little guy, or emotional dude, wearing your heart on your sleeve, seeking connection, being in love with the idea of love, chivalry. In the shadow seer position, missing the signs, protecting your heart, not being open to love, a player, a jealous partner, moodiness, sulking, negative emotions blocking your progress, and disappointment. So this classic romantic invites you to step into the world of roses, bubble baths, and champagne, and is fully devoted to you for today and maybe for every day. This card heralds romance and embodies the graceful movement of a slow dance. Enjoy this flirtation and be present to connect. This knight is intuitive and totally in touch with his emotions. As such, he knows what he wants, and he has no problem wearing his heart on his sleeve. This card often signifies someone who is in love with the idea of love. You're so welcome, sweetie. Right? And sometimes this comes bundled with unrealistic expectations. Are you ready to be swept off your feet and to allow deep, honest, and vulnerability to flow freely in your life? Do you believe in this type of true love? Get ready to take inspiration and run with it, to make art, music, and love, and a veritable masterpiece of life. I am in touch with my emotions. So this whole not for you, right? And surrendering. And then this is the emotions, right? That romantic love. It could be that the not for you part is that the person is in love with love itself, not the actual person that they're with. So that's the not for you part. Or it could be that this romantic or this incarnation of the love isn't the correct love for you, that it needs to, it needs to be brought to surrendering to the divine feminine, opening yourself up to, maybe you're being more closed off than what you need to be, and you need to open yourself up to true love and being vulnerable. And so it could be that's not the form of the relationship is not for you right now, or it could be just the whole entire relationship is not. Maybe the person's a player. Maybe it's just, you have expectations. And I keep talking about that. And that's, like I said, what that challenge is that I'm going to be doing in December through the group. But it's about living in the gain as opposed to living in the gap. And the gap is those expectations, right? If you're with somebody and you're like, they would be great if only they did these things, then that's the expectation zone, right? And we're not meeting them where they're at. And oftentimes people are exactly where they're at and they're going to stay there. We think, they're going to grow and evolve. And some people do, in fact, have a really strong growth game and they will evolve. But for the most part, if you don't accept this person is exactly here and this is who they are, you're just going to be disappointed. And that's what happens when you live in that gap space, right? You're disappointed because you're not here. You only got to here. It's like I was saying in another video, that if you think for the month you want to lose 10 pounds, right? And you only lose 5. And then if you're in the gap, you're going to be upset because you didn't lose 10. Right? But when you live in the gain, you're happy because you did lose 5, right? So that's why it's important, because you're always going to be within that. I didn't make it far enough. I didn't get enough. I didn't do enough, right? I didn't reach that pinnacle of success that I wanted. So you're always going to be chasing things. That's something for her to definitely to Sharon. Yeah. That's a tough situation that she must be going through. And sometimes we're just not open to it. Sometimes, and I talked about this like with my ex, right? Like this is with my first ex, my kid's dad, we actually had a conversation the other day, because I don't have any issues with any of my exes beyond, after I get out of the situation and have some time away from it. But I never wished any bad will on him or anything like that. We just weren't the right people for each other. I met him when I was 16, right? And I stayed with him until I was 29. Like, that's 13 years of being in a relationship with somebody, from a very young age. And, we had 2 children, and we were never the right person. I actually needed to escape my home life. And I know that he was an opportunity for escape that seemed much better than the situations that I was experiencing. And I was talking to him the other day, and he's going through a lot of what he should have went through a long time ago. And he's like, why at 53? And I'm like, because you didn't listen when he came around earlier. When the information comes and goes, knock, knock, knock. And it's like, hey, you have some healing to do. And they're like, pfft. Then you go along a little while later, knock, knock, knock. And you're like, I'm not going to acknowledge that sign either. And then finally the sign comes along and it's like, hey, are you going to listen now? And you're like, whoa, that was intense. I have no choice but to heal now. Right. So unfortunately, we can't enforce healing on other people. They have to get to that on their own speed. And it's oftentimes through those pain, the pain gets to be so much that you're like, I would rather do the work to heal than suffer to sit in this pain anymore and to struggle with that. Good morning, Linda. Awesome. So yeah, so let's, I know that Amanda had asked for a card, so I'm going to open it up for those who want a card. And if you do want a card, so yeah, you either listen when it's a small nudge, or you wait until it's a big, big, big nudge. And for some of us, that big nudge comes when it is when it causes illness, right? And for me, that's what happened. Or when we start getting injured all the time, like when you seem to be like constantly, like all these bad things just pile on one after another. That's that accelerated. I'm going to just keep throwing stuff at you until you say, okay, enough's enough, and enough. I see it. I'm going to heal now. Right. So, right. Exactly. Yes. I'll pull a card for you too as well, Jess and Amanda. So I have 2 Amanda. So the first one is, Amanda. You were right on it, Amanda Lynn. So Amanda, and then Jess, and then Amanda, and then Amapreet. We have a lot of A's today. I love it. I'm collecting everybody that has like multiple A's in their name. Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? Who wants a card there? First, we're starting with Amanda. Amanda Lynn. Whoa, just keep throwing them. So let's stop with the shuffling then. Amanda. Oh, there you are. I feel like this might have been a card for you yesterday, but I know I pulled it recently. Go the distance, and I pulled it in protection mode. And go the distance is number 47, which would be a master number of 11. So let's see what go the distance in protection means. So the essential meanings would be endurance, strength, the long haul. The oracle's message: to bring your dream to life, you must think long-term and pay no attention to the fluctuations in the current of your experience. Joy and disappointment commingle with opportunities, so there is no need to fear the occasional obstacle. Life is not a sprint. This card is a reminder that you have endurance, strength, and fortitude to carry you all the way. Remain true to yourself. Your authenticity alone will keep you in alignment with the energy of miracles. What is yours will never be withheld from you. Remember that. In the protection state, do you feel as if you've been wandering in the desert now for ages and ages and nothing is happening? When you conjure up the image of the desert, you picture parched lips, sunburned skin, and mirages. But there is more to it than that. Amid the hot sands are creatures with resilient spirits, tough skins, and the willingness to burrow deep underground for water so that they may thrive. This is a time of developing survival skills and resilience. You are learning how to conserve your strength, and in this temporary time of austerity, it is wise to be selective about where you expend your energy. Listen to the call of your soul because it will never lead you astray. This is an important time for letting go of what's not important. That's a pretty big message. That's a really, really big message, right? And it's true when you think about that. Like I wouldn't necessarily, but yeah, they're the animals. The animals that are in the desert are very resilient, and I have a funny feeling that I know Amanda well enough without even having met in person, but I know you well enough to know that you are a strong and resilient person. So whatever you are going through, know that for certain. And sometimes it is letting go of what's not important. I made my circle really small. Like I brought myself really into a small circle. I cut out everything that was negative. I shut off social media. I shut off the TV. I stopped looking outside at all the stuff that was going on, and I just went really internal and into the present moment. I became really obsessed with the now, because I realized like most of the stuff that was causing me the distress was my own mind, because I was either keeping the stuff alive from the past or I was bringing the stuff in from the future in a fearful negative state. So that was just really, the challenge for it. Yes. I know that about you. I have a funny feeling. I think we resonate spirit wise, and that's, it's kindred souls, my friend. That and our undying love for crystals. So the next card is for Jess, and then we'll do Amanda and then Amarpreet. And if anyone else wants a card, just let me know. And the person that said, I'd like a card, please, I'm new here. I just need to know your name. And it doesn't have to be your full name, just your first name will do. But I like to try to channel who I'm pulling a card for as I'm shuffling and drawing. So. Jess. So I pulled No Place Like Home, number 50, in the protection mode. So let's see what protection of No Place Like Home. Hey, hi, Jessica. Jessica Lily. I love it. Yeah, I can't see it. I've only seen Facebook users. Unfortunately, you have to enable StreamYard to share, there's permissions that you have to give StreamYard. And I will look for the link for that and post it. And I'll try to include it in each of the broadcasts that I'm doing so that it's available. I'll do my best because that's all I can do. That's all we all can do is just our best. So number 50, No Place Like Home. The essential meaning: authenticity, coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit, being comfortable in your own skin. Oh, I love you, Amarpreet. Oh, I would love to meet you. I would love to meet you. I'm in Ontario now, so anyone that's in Ontario, that's a possibility for sure. The Oracle's message: home feels safe and secure. It's a comfortable place to rest and create, a place that is known and you can call your own. This card signals that your ability to trust yourself and feel at home in your own skin is beginning to solidify as you claim your dignity and integrity. Aspects of yourself, 50, 50, Jess. So it'll be a number 5 when it gets brought down. Aspects of yourself no one can take from you. You know who you are. You hold your head high, yet with neither pride nor humility. Instead, you stand as the observer, seeing through the eyes of your soul. This puts you in a position of power and strength. Authenticity is your home. You are safe here in the house of your spirit and spirit. So the protection message: there are times when what is familiar and known is not the best choice. And that's hands down absolutely true. Why? Because what is familiar to us, we consider it to be safe, but familiar does not mean safe, right? Unfortunately, that's our nervous system thinking that what I know is better than what I don't know. And that's the homeostatic response. So case in point, if you're in an abusive home, that is familiar to you. So someone that comes along that presents safety, that's going to feel unfamiliar and it's going to feel unsafe, right? So that's where we get caught in that trap. And that's why oftentimes especially if we don't do the healing, if we exit out of a relationship that's toxic, we will end up finding ourselves in another relationship that's toxic because we didn't do the healing that was necessary in between. So we're looking for that familiarity, and that familiarity that we're really good with is that toxicity. So we go and find it in somebody else. We get that flush of chemicals in our body, and they're addicting. It's very addictive, all those stress hormones that flow in your body. So we hold on to that. Ciao for now, Bella. Love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. I got to remember the days, because now that I'm working from home, it's not like the usual Saturday and Sunday. I worked just the same as I did on Monday. So I have to keep remembering it's Wednesday or it's Thursday or whatever. So human beings are memory-driven creatures, and we all look for certainty for what we know, and even if the qualities we seek in other people and in external conditions are expressed in unhealthy ways. Avoid being too eager to find home. Choose something unfamiliar and trust that there you will find a new normal that supports your spirit. Remember, if you do what you did, you'll get what you got. Do the opposite of what feels right, even if it's uncomfortable, because what feels right is really what feels familiar, and you will attract and be drawn to the very things you don't want anymore. This time will not be different unless you do something different. So really, really good message there for all of us. And it's hard, right? Because that familiarity feels safe. But if we understand what the familiarity is, that it's those chemicals in our body that feel addicting, or that it's just because it's familiar, that it's not because it's safe, like we can understand that difference, and we can make those changes. So this card is for, I hope that resonated with you, Jess. This one will be for Amanda. And I think it's Avila. Scroll up. I want to get the orders of everybody right. Amanda. Yes, Amanda Avila is where I'm at now. And then after Amanda, Amarpreet, and then Jess. Okay, I got the order down. Amanda, Amarpreet, Jess. Perfect. Yay. Woohoo. Yeah. Oh, I would, and it's hard too. Like sometimes I've had people connect with me that want to work on a healing journey, and they'll talk and just like with me and disclose that they're in an unhealthy environment, right? And it's really hard to heal inside of an unhealthy environment. If somebody's abusive to you, and whether it's super covert, like what everybody would think would be or super overt, like the like hitting and stuff like that, like, but there's so many other ways that there's abuse within a relationship that doesn't have to be physical, and it doesn't have to be like huge. The same thing with all trauma. For me, trauma is what you're left with because you were unable to soothe yourself, and you weren't old enough, or you didn't have caregivers that soothed for you. So because your nervous system couldn't be regulated after the experience, then it stayed in that dysregulated state, and you weren't able to integrate the memories or the feelings through your body. So those stay stuck. Sometimes it's such a severe trauma that you actually repress the memories because you can't handle the information. So your brain protects you by repressing those memories. And sometimes we don't remember because when you're in fight or flight, freeze and disassociate, your brain isn't putting down memories the same way. And it's a good thing, right? Like if we were to remember every single detail in like super detailed of what happened, that could be traumatic in and of itself. So our brains will protect us at different times. But it's really hard if you're in an abusive environment to heal, because you're going to be constantly being triggered and thrown into your flight and fight or you freeze and disassociate. So you'll be in your trauma response. So how do you soothe a nervous system that's constantly being dysregulated and then bring it back to a soothing situation when that trigger is there, right? Like if you were an abusive woman, you wouldn't want to be standing in a boxing ring while you're trying to like, you know, like it's really hard to do that in I love it. I love it. Yes. I do actually, I was trying very hard to set up separate spaces so that, you know, like my area was very clearly defined. I haven't quite got that yet, but I did bring my desk here yesterday, which then I have to find where all the screws are for it to put it back together. But if I get the desk together, then I can actually stop working at the kitchen table, which would be a big help. But yes, definitely having, yeah, it does. It is overwhelming. Absolutely. Okay. So Amanda, sorry, I got sidetracked sometimes. Yep. See, even the cards are saying enough. All right. Let's see what we have for Amanda. What am I feeling? Ah, milk and honey, number 51, but in the protection mode. It's a pretty picture. Nice rainbow, nice, lovely dinner. Mind you, in the bowl of honey, there's an elephant. I don't know how good the honey's going to be now. I don't know. I think the elephant's making a mess of it. So I'll read the essential meaning and then we'll go into what the protection meaning is, okay? So the taste of prosperity, opportunities born of authenticity, nurturing abundance, trusting that your needs will be met. The oracle's message: you've entered a sweet time in your life, enjoying the land of milk and honey that everyone wants to experience. It's an interlude that feels more languid than ambitious, when all your senses are awake to the unlimited possibilities of the universe. These times are precious and only come when you're in your authentic zone, wearing the world as a loose garment, not wanting, yet able to be nourished in ways both tangible and subtle. Abundance is an energy that you are a living part of. All your needs are being met. You are given the gift of nourishment in every form. So in the protection message, a nameless unease compels you to turn to pleasure and comfort as a means to escape what's really going on. It works in the moment, but only fleetingly before the feelings return and you need to re-up until you're exhausted. So last night when we were doing the card pulls and we were reviewing things, there were several messages about basically being in that comfort zone or leaning into comfort foods, or you know, like caffeine, stimulants, or, you know, like nicotine, sugar, you know, doing all of those things as a way to numb or comfort ourselves. TV is another way that we numb ourselves out by, you know, just absorbing ourselves in, you know, different programming for a really long time, as opposed to sitting with our emotions or sitting in boredom or sitting in silence and stillness. So be careful what you're doing in your day-to-day, that if you're doing it to avoid healing, to actually avoid standing face to face with what you need to heal, and you know what you're doing to comfort yourself. The thing with sugar and fat, so when they package sugar and fat together, whether it's like cookies are a great example. There's sugar, there's fat. And what that does for us, like when you think about our reptilian brains, we wouldn't have had that. Like sugar was something that we only got certain times of the year. It wasn't abundant year round. So it was a real treat to get something that was sweet. So the only time that we were really exposed to sugar and fat in combination like that was our mother's milk. So that's why we soothe ourselves with those types of items, is because it, in our brains, it is simulating being comforted through our mother's milk, with that milk, that cream, or sorry, that sweet and fat combination together. And a lot of our foods are targeted that way, right? But there's no value to the food for us long term. So feeling worse than before, you may continue struggling, or you may see the light and choose to surrender to spirit. Now is the time for practicing extreme self-care. If you can, do so before you engage in behaviors you'll regret later. You are so loved, so cared for. Feel love and compassion for yourself. Turn your troubles over to the divine for healing. That's all that counts right now. So we can look at other ways to soothe ourselves rather than through food or through, TV, through drugs, alcohol, all the different things that we soothe ourselves from. One of the ways that I love to teach people is to do rubbing your arms in a downward fashion. When you do this, applying pressure and going down, it drops your brain into delta waves and it simulates the soothing comfort that you would have gotten from your caregiver as a baby, right? So it simulates that same feeling through your body, and you can provide it to yourself doing this. And then you can combine it with affirmations saying, I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm, strong, I'm loved, I'm lovable, I'm loving, I'm beautiful, whatever you need to overcome whatever the issues that are being brought up, right? So if at that moment you're feeling like, I definitely went through a lot of self-hatred with, the thoughts and the words in my head. And, a lot of us that have child acquired trauma through childhood, we have that because we innately have bad relationships because the people that were supposed to be the pinnacle of relationships for us didn't treat us the way that we should have been treated. And we internalize it into ourselves because it's hard for a child to say their parents bad. It's much easier for them to say that they're bad. So you have this bad relationship with yourself, and that reflects in the relationships that you have as well. Right. But I had that negative self-talk, and I would get, in something would happen with my partner. And instead of it being like, this is the situation and being, logical about it, I'd be like, I'm such a loser. I'm such an idiot. What was I thinking? And you're such a terrible person. So I would beat myself up with the language in my head. Right. So doing this, I would be like, you're strong and capable, or you're a winner. And I probably wouldn't say that I was a winner, because even though, it is the counter to loser, I probably wouldn't speak in that language. But that's the kind of thing that you want to do. Like if you're like, you're so ugly, and then you're going to want to use language that's talking about that you're beautiful, you're perfect the way you are, you're enough, right? You're loved, you're lovable. That kind of message. So after Amanda was Amarpreet, and then Jessica. And I think for some, maybe that was all that asked for cards so far, but we'll see if there's any more. So this one here is for Amarpreet. Stop flipping my cards around. That would be awesome. Some days I shuffle okay. Some days I don't. Okay, we're going to stop shuffling. We're going to pick the card now. So Amarpreet, I pulled number 13, fork in the road. There. Get it up close enough. That's exactly what I do with my clients. Absolutely. I go through, that's the way that I do the inner child work. So the first thing that I do with any of my clients is I start by helping you to create safety, because that's, I think, an integral component of navigating any trauma healing. Oftentimes when you go to therapy, they may miss that component, and they might start just delving into, let's talk about it, or let's, do this. And a lot of therapy, like psychotherapy, is talk therapy. But the way that trauma works, by being stored in your body, there's that inherent somatic part that needs to be dealt with. But if you don't have a safe space within your home, or the ability to soothe yourself through those traumas, it's really not something that you should be just delving into, because there's that potential for re-traumatizing, right? So you have to navigate through it slowly, but that's the first step, is creating safety, having that safe environment within yourself, within your home. And then a portable container is the other thing that I do. I work with a stabilized, like a container at your home, and then a container that's portable. So if something comes up when you're out in your day-to-day, that you have the ability to use that container to get you home. And then we work through going through somatic, giving you like resiliency tools, like the soothing technique and other soothing techniques that allow you to navigate through some of those emotional draws that you're going to experience, right? To be able to soothe yourself and regulate your nervous system and bring it back to balance. And then there is going in. So part of the healing journey is you become the parent that you should have had. So you're going to parent yourself, and parenting, we know, isn't just, giving you everything that you want and being just, soft. Right? Parenting sometimes is making you do the things that you don't want to do. A good parent would have been like, maybe you signed up for something and then at the last minute you're like, I don't want to do it. And they would have been, but that's a commitment that you made. So you should follow through with your commitments. As a parent of yourself, you're going to invoke that same thing. So I have to pay taxes. In other words, I have to do my taxes. That's something that I have to do. So I'm going to parent myself to do that, even though it's something that I don't like to do and I wouldn't necessarily do if I had a choice, right? So that's the part of being, a parent that has that discipline part to it. But yeah, and then as you go through, there is that going in and navigating that you're walking in, and you're gathering your child, whether you take them by the hand or you gather them to you, but that's the same process that I do. And yeah, I'll protect you. Exactly. I love you, and I'll protect you and keep you safe. Number 13 for Amarpreet. Fork in the road. So the essential meaning, time to make a decision, considering the consequences as you prepare to act, owning up to your obligation to make a necessary choice. Hi, Shams. Nice to see you. If I have time, I'm still open for giving cards to people if they want a card. The Oracle's message: every choice has a consequence. You've arrived at a fork in the road and are being asked to come to a decision. Will you further your dreams by choosing left or by choosing right? Will you take the road less traveled or the one well worn by others who have come before you? This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is an important crossroads. Take heart, as no matter which path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. Relationship message. I'm not sure who said the last one that said, I'd love to have a card drawn if possible. If you just want to let me know your name, because I know that Sham said so. So right now is Amarpreet, then Jessica, and then Shams. And then if that's still Shams, then only one. But if not, then there's another one, and I might be Linda. So relationship message, Amarpreet. You've reached a moment of truth in the evolution of your relationship. Which will you choose? To reopen to the possibility of love or to remain isolated? Nellie. Okay, perfect. Or to remain isolated. To go deeper and commit to a mutual passion, or to walk away. This is a time to take responsibility for your truest desire and follow it. Be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do, invest, and give. Then choose. You cannot make a wrong choice. If you move forward with a relationship, know that it will be based in truth and authenticity. You will have made a conscious decision rather than simply hanging on because you don't want to be alone, or ending things because you're afraid of the intensity of genuine connection. All roads lead to the lessons you must learn in your relationships. Regardless of the decision you make, it will place you on the path to a truer experience of the heart. A prosperity message. You've come as far as you can on this part of your journey and now are faced with a choice. Inherent in this choice is the need for change, for evolution, and for a bettering of your circumstances. Narrow it down to just a single question. Who do I need to become, and what do I need to believe in order to live a life of prosperity? Answer honestly and from the heart. Then the decision about which way to go will be effortless. Know that abundance is all around you. Choose to see it, and it will be easier to settle on a direction, for the way will be made clear by your intuition, which knows how to steer you toward your well-being. So I don't know how well your intuition is working for you, but that might be something to look into as well. One of the things with heart-focused breathing is that there is a technique called a technique that you can use where you actually give the question to your heart, and then you allow your heart to answer. Now, when your heart answers a question, unlike your brain, it doesn't go into this big dialogue. It doesn't go into, well, I think you should do this because blah, 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 blah. Your heart is just either yes or no. this or that. It's a very kind of like a one word answer, or just an innate feeling that this is the right way to go, or that is the right direction. Just the way that the heart answers. It's very simplistic. So what you can do is the heart focused breathing, get yourself into that. And then you ask your heart the question that is on your mind, and then wait for the answer. And whatever the heart answers, that's what you do, because it's in your best interest. Okay, so Jessica, hi and welcome, because this is new for you. I remember you putting that in the comment that you put in, that this is new for you. So welcome. Let's see what Jessica's card is. So Jess, yin, number 2. So I will read that message for you. I like the yin card because it's pretty. It's a pretty card, and it's about the divine feminine. So the essential meanings are the feminine principle of receptivity, letting someone else make the first move, gathering information and taking in cues, the art of conscious allowing. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Otherwise, it's going to be really cold by the time I'm done. The Oracle's message. This is a time of calculated receptivity as you gracefully await what is coming to you, ready to accept it when it appears. Yin does not involve frozen dreams or even resting, but rather consciously allowing things to flow to you, poised to receive the bounty that will be made available to you. It implies sensitivity as you alertly study the actions of others and contemplate how they will affect you and yours. Remember, you must make space for miracles to appear. Be the shaped, not the shaper, and you'll see how quickly your dreams manifest. In relationships, and remember, this can be partnerships. This isn't necessarily just romantic relationships. This can be relationships with family, friends, that kind of area, but it's any of your relationships or partnerships. Let others take the lead right now. Your power lies in small gestures, soft awareness, and conscious surrender. By yielding the reins, you will find yourself effortlessly moving closer to what you truly desire. Permit others to tell you who they are and who they can be to you by allowing their actions to speak about them. You will be pleasantly surprised. We make a lot of assumptions, right? That was one of the negative or the unhealthy coping patterns that I had to really understand that I was doing, because I'm always trying to mind read or fortune tell. And as a child of trauma, of course we would do that. Right? We want to predict what's going to happen as best as we can. So we're going to assume that we know what the person's thinking by, like, it's hypervigilance, right? Those micro expressions. Like if somebody was talking to us and they raise their eyes up for a second, they could have had, like, you know, if you get itchy eyes, sometimes you're like, you just roll them upwards to kind of like give them a little rub. They could be doing something as silly as that. But for us with trauma, we would look at them doing the eye rolling and be like, oh, they're just like, whatever I just said is the stupidest thing ever. Or, you know, they don't like me. They think poorly of me, right? We're always trying to predict the reactions or predict what people are doing. So we get hyper vigilant and we get hyper aware of everything. Facial language, body language, slight movements, shift in posture, energy, like all of it. We're just watching because we want to be prepared as soon as possible for any changes that are coming so that we can get ourselves into whatever protective mode we need, whether that's running, fighting, you know, like doing the fight, flight, or whatever. So we make assumptions, and a lot of times those assumptions are wrong because they're based in the past. They're not based in the current moment. So be careful about the assumptions. I always was telling myself, what are the facts? And I have to repeat that even today, because there are times when your brain just wants to go to autopilot of the past and just make those assumptions. So what are the facts? What do I actually know about this situation? In prosperity, so with business, investments, with anything to do with personal development, so that area is what prosperity speaks to. This is a time when the most effective action is to allow others to show you the way forward. Observe their behavior and follow their lead. Your desire to push through must take a back seat for now. Collaborate and offer your ideas rather than dictating what must happen. Let others come to you. It's important that they feel they have power now. Another meaning is about releasing your need to have things in the form you want. How do you want to feel basking in your success? Now allow the universe to show you the form. Yin is the sign of essence. Things may go more smoothly than you expect. So there's a lot of, like with yin being the opposite to yang. So yang being the masculine energy, and it's about action. Like it's about that actual, like, I'm taking action, I'm going. Yin isn't about inaction in the sense of like you're just letting like everything just happen to you. It's about a conscious action, about making the decision, I'm going to surrender, making the decision that you're allowing stuff to flow to you, that you're going to be open to receiving. And with the, yang energy of like give and go, the yin energy is about that relax and receive, right? But allowing it to come to you. It's not just letting things just fall into inaction, right? So after Jess was Shams, and then Nelly. Okay. So let's see what card we have. I do enjoy doing these in the morning. I love, and I think that it's a lot of fun. Woo-hoo! Sometimes it reminds me of, things that I've done in my healing journey that are important to get out there for other people. Okay, we're going to count that as stop shuffling, and we'll just draw the card. So what am I feeling for? We get this card a lot, but I like it because it has some very good questions. The number is 31. Why? And I did pull it in protection mode. So let's see what that means. So again, I'll do the essential meaning and the oracle message, and then I'll talk about what the protection message is. So why? Motives driving intention, the power of knowing the why. There is a great power in understanding your motives right now. The oracle asks you to be very clear about why you're asking this question, looking for this answer, behaving in this way, and most importantly, making this choice. Knowing your why is the key to fulfillment. When you are clear about it, your intention will then be a magnet for miracles. Motives define the nature of your experience. When you think about something, feel it, and then act on it. This invisible why is the life force energy within the seed, which brings it to life and holds the potential for growth. So in the protection message, sometimes subconsciously denying the truth may drive you toward a specific outcome that actually aligns with an intention hidden from your awareness. For example, you may want to be prominent in your profession, but your desire is not really about sharing your talents, but about making yourself feel better because fame would cause people to admire and approve of you. Or you may want to reunite with a partner who rejected you because you believe that your love continues to be strong, but deep down, what you really desire is to have the last word with that person. Now is the time for deep soul searching of the why that drives your choices. What you uncover will set you free and bring you ever closer to the happiness you seek. Right? Because if we understand the whys, that's so much clarity. Right? If we're, especially like when you like just that relationship message, how many of us, right after a breakup have backpedaled towards that person, right? Because we're like, oh, maybe it could be better. Maybe they're my perfect person. Maybe if we put in this effort, maybe if we did this, maybe if we did that. But underneath, it has nothing to do with actually thinking that that person is good for you, or, that you can actually work through things. It's because they're familiar and they create that chemical reaction in you based on your trauma. Right. And so you're being drawn back to that, or you have a fear of being alone. So it's not about the love for that person, but you're with them because you're just afraid of being alone. So understanding that that's the why allows you to work through that part of it and heal, because you're never truly alone. Right. And I know that, people will be like, yeah, but I'm alone in my house right now with my dog. And, you can question, okay, I'm not alone. I have a dog. But, I don't think I'm alone ever, because I believe that we're all connected. There's a great oneness to us. And I always feel that there's a connection to the divine, whether you see it as God, source, the universe, spirit, the divine. it doesn't matter to me. I'm connected that there's something higher, there's something bigger out there beyond me, and I maybe don't understand exactly what it is. Inherently, I think on the inside, my spirit knows exactly what it is. I just maybe as in my human form don't have access to that information, but I definitely believe there's more out there. So you're never truly alone because you have access to that as well, right? So for Nellie, I don't know how that resonated with you, Shams, but I'm going to pull a card for Nellie now, and then that'll be it for today because I'm after the hour. So and I was a few minutes late, so I'll be actually around an hour of show because 59:47 is the current time of the video. So Nellie, I'll do a card for you now. And if you want, just focus on the question that you want to ask. This is what I should be reminding everybody is think about the question or, where you have the query in your life, what you want clarity on. Just think about that. And I'll think about you, at least through your name that you've put down. I'll think about you. For those that I've met or interacted with, I'll think about you actually. But for Nellie, I'm just going to focus on your name and try to channel your energy. And then I'll pull a card for you. But you just think of the question that you want to ask while I'm doing this. Actually, it's this one right here. So the card that I pulled is number 25, Round and Round. And I pulled it in the protection mode. So again, I will read the initial message or the essential message, and then I will read the oracle message and then the protection message. So a little bit of what the basic meaning of the card is, but then the protection of it. So the essential meaning, the spiral quality of events when a lesson isn't quite integrated. Cycles you are challenged to break, revisiting a pattern from a new perspective. The oracle's message. The appearance of this card is a reminder that although it may appear that you've gone backward, the truth is that you're standing at a higher level, looking down into your circumstances. You will learn something, do something better, and break a cycle set up in the past. You actually have a bird's eye view of your initial footprints and can access the wisdom and lessons learned. So, the protection message, Nellie. Are you refusing to see your own personal responsibility for repeating lessons you don't need to relearn? You have to surrender now to the fact that you are the common denominator in all these repeated performances. That was an eye-opening experience for me, let me tell you. When I sat there and I went, now I have 3 people in my life that 3 big relationships that didn't work out. And what was the common denominator in all 3 of those relationships? Me. So, I can say that, my first relationship, maybe it had these things in it. My second relationship, maybe it had those things in it. And my third relationship, maybe it had those things in it. But the one thing that definitely all of them had in it was me. So I had to look at what was I bringing to the table? How was I showing up in these relationships? What was I looking for or searching for that I felt was somehow inherently missing? And for me, I was just reenacting, all of my traumas from my parents, both of them, from the men that showed up in my life. And I was just reenacting them until I found me and found the source of healing. So let's continue with the message. You have to surrender now to the fact that you are the common denominator in all these repeat performances. Be happy, for this is a wonderful spot to be in. You can now see the cycles that you wish to exit. Once you figure out that you have the power to stop going round and round, you possess the key to your freedom. Be good to yourself. It's not about blame, but accountability. You have the abundant life filled with love and prosperity. You can have the abundant life that filled with love and prosperity that Spirit so wants for you. You just have to take that accountability, the responsibility, right? And again, definitely take that. It's not about blame. Always remember that you're constantly evolving. You're constantly getting new information. You're constantly learning new things, or at least I hope you are. But we tend to do it anyway without consciously being aware that we're learning new things. The person that you were 5 years ago is not the same person that you are today. And you can't punish yourself for what you didn't know when you didn't know it. So you can't blame yourself for the fact that at this time you're in the situation that you're in. You got there. Just take accountability for that you got to this spot and now you're deciding to make changes. And those changes, are going to start from within. right? Become the person that you want to be. Could become the person that you want to attract to you, right? If you're sitting there and you're like, I want to have a partner who's, fit and successful. I don't know, apparently on Tinder, according to, my son and other guys that I've spoke to, apparently on Tinder, the girls are you 3 6s? And the 3 6s are, do you have 6 figures? Are you 6 feet tall? And do you have a 6-pack? Well, what are you bringing to the table? Are you bringing 6 figures, a 6-pack, and whatever height you want to be? Because, right? Like if you have that expectation for your partner, you should have those same expectations for you, right? If you want somebody that has their shit together, do you have your shit together? Like as an example. So that's the concept of that, right? You're going to attract who you are to you. So if you work on who you are, then the person that you're drawing to you is going to be healthier. And that doesn't mean we don't meet. Sometimes you meet people when you're, in those states, and you'll meet somebody who's patient and kind. I will tell you this and then I'll jump off. It's 10:10, by the way. But I'll tell you this right after I have a sip. More like a gulp. It wasn't really a sip. So I lost my train of thought when I took the sip. That was terrible. Give me a sec. I'm going to rewind my tape. Definitely breaking cycles. Yeah, oh, no, I found it. See, just had to wait. So there are different types of relationship attachment disorders that you can end up with as a result of childhood trauma. So if your parents were continually not available, you more oftentimes end up with what's called an avoidant attachment disorder. So that's where you're like the lone wolf. You think that you can manage everything on your own. If the stuff gets tough in the relationship, you're like, I don't need the relationship. People that are avoidant tend to be more of, going to give the silent treatment, retreat to a cave, that kind of thing. And they partner really well with this other type, which is when your parents are inconsistent. Sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not. You can have what's called a anxious attachment style. So an anxious attachment style, you're clingy and needy. And the reason why is because sometimes your parents were there and gave you what you needed and you liked that. And then other times they were neglectful and didn't give you what you needed, or they were abusive. So in those push-pull dynamic that they created with you, you learned, if I cry, if I cling, if I do these things, I keep them to me, then I get what I was needing, right? So we get that in that dynamic with those relationships. Safe and secure people will sometimes attach with an anxious attachment. They don't tend to attach with an avoidant attachment as much because the avoidance more standoffish, but they will attach sometimes with that anxious attachment style, and they can help you get to healing. So you can heal within a relationship if the other person that you're with is safe and secure and patient and kind and willing to work through those insecurities, right? If they can be reassuring, they can pull you out of that anxious attachment style. But that's a process. Most times we find our triggers, we find our issues, we find what isn't, what we need to work on through our relationships. And we find out what we like, what we don't like, how we want to show up, all of those things throughout our relationships. But the actual healing, although may start to happen within a relationship, typically happens outside of that environment, because that familiar environment's keeping you re-triggered or re-exposed to the trauma effects, right? So we need to be out of that. I healed within my relationship for the most part, but I remember getting to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you're not healing. And I don't want to be having fights like this. I don't want to have to, I said, don't use a towel to mop up water off the floor because it's my favorite towel that I like to use all the time when I shower. It's a newer towel. It's a beautiful towel. I don't want it used to wipe up like stuff from the dishwasher. And that turns into, a several day fight where it's just like huge. And it's like, well, then tell me how to ask you not to do that in a way that's not going to be upsetting. And when it explodes into that level, and I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, if you're not willing to heal, then I don't want to be here going through this, because I know I need to continue healing, and I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to be re-triggered or re-traumatized. So anyway, I hope some of the information that I shared on outside of just the straight up card pulls is helpful and resonates with you all. I do full oracle card readings for people, or full readings for people. They are $45 Canadian. And so if you're interested in that, but yeah, I can always drop the link to set up an appointment for that if that's something that you want some more guidance with. But yeah, I have to start making money somewhere. I can't do everything for free. So that's where that is at. I feel that that's an appropriate amount for what I give you. And you know, definitely through the oracle reading, there will be some of the same thing that I'm doing now, where I will talk about trauma healing, mental health management, resiliency building, and stuff, along with what comes up with the cards, and hope to guide you along a little bit as we go. So that's all for today. I love you all so much for joining me, and I will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. And definitely gratitude and appreciation for all of you for being here. I really appreciate it. This episode will also be shared on Spotify through my podcast there. So if you ever miss out, you can always follow me on Spotify or on YouTube, so that you're not necessarily on social media. I have my YouTube channel gets these posted every day. I broadcast live there as well. And the audio, and if you didn't want to watch the whole video, you could just listen to the audio on Spotify, it gets put up usually within the same day, but definitely before the next episode occurs. So anyway, I love you, and I wish you a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And I hope you're not feeling the effects of that full moon too much. But I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Have a wonderful day.